I understand that many people are voting for Kamala because they hate Trump that much. But understand that when you vote for an empty suit who's a chameleon on every single issue, that's precisely what you're going to get, and you deserve it. Democracy is the theory, as H.L. Mencken once suggested, that the American people get what they deserve good and hard. They deserve to make their own choices and then get what they deserve good and hard. That's the theory of democracy, and they're about to get it. You vote for an empty suit like Kamala Harris, who is, in fact, either responsible for the Biden administration's decision-making or is a complete nothing burger. And what you get is what you get. Nonetheless, Kamala Harris, according to the latest New York Times polls, is now leading in 3 of the biggest swing states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. She's leading by 4 points in each of those states, according to the New York Times. Those margins shrink just a little bit when you include RFK. If you include RFK, she's still leading in all 3 of those states. However, the lead drops to about 2 points in Pennsylvania as opposed to 4 points. With all of that said, this new polling from the New York Times shows that 53% of Americans say that she has a clear vision for the country compared to 60% who say that Trump has a clear vision for the country. 54% say she has the temperament to be an effective president. 52% say she's honest, which is unbelievable. She's one of the biggest liars in American politics. 65% say she is intelligent, which I've yet to see any evidence of her radical intelligence, folks. Like, where is it on display? She has done nothing pyrotechnically brilliant in her entire political career other than identity politics and sleeping with Willie Brown way back when. 50% say she will bring the right kind of change. But the bottom line is, this little strategy is working. The Democrats' strategy of ignoring the American people and simply pushing her to the presidency by dint of glitzy ads dumped with tens of millions of dollars online. Apparently, she spent something like $30 million in online advertising so far, compared to like $4 million from the Trump campaign, which does raise the question. It's up to Donald Trump to win this campaign. He is running against a target-rich environment in Kamala Harris. He needs to be weaponized. He needs to be dropping hundreds of millions of dollars in ads to define his opposition. I think that, again, everybody on both sides is too online. I think there are a lot of people in the right-wing circles who are too online, and they look at Kamala Harris, and they think that because many of us in the online circles know what's wrong with Kamala Harris, that has broken through to the American people. You can tell how it has not broken through to the American people, given the fact that the entire rip on Kamala Harris, a legitimate rip on Kamala Harris for years, is that she is incoherent and speaks in coleslaw. We made fun of her for the "you fell out of a coconut tree" thing, and Democrats turned it into a positive joy meme inside of 30 seconds. That's how little the American people know about Kamala Harris. That means you have to define her. You have to. Meanwhile, she's defining herself in real time without anyone asking a serious question of her. So she's running an ad now. Again, the disrespect for the intelligence of Americans is astonishing here. She's running an ad suggesting that she is tougher on the border. I mean, talk about just a malicious lie. Tougher on the border. She has presided as vice president of the United States over the biggest migrant wave in the history of the United States, in the history of the country. She was the border czar. I know everyone wants to pretend she wasn't, and the media went out of their way to try and defend her from the realities here, but here she was saying that she is tougher on the border in this ad.
Kamala Harris has spent decades fighting violent crime. As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border.
What the hell? That is not true. I lived in California.
Bill in decades. And as president, she will hire thousands more
as vice president
agents and crack down on fentanyl and human trafficking. Fixing the border is
what
tough.
In the world? I've been down to the border.
Kamala Harris.
What?
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
That's insanity. She's the worst vice president in the history of the United States on immigration. Bar none. Zero competitors. And just ran an entire ad on how she's tough on the border. And look at the media. The media snap into place like nobody's business. So J.D. Vance went after Kamala. He was on a bunch of Sunday shows. So J.D. Vance has now done more Sunday shows than Kamala Harris by a factor of infinity because she's done none. Okay, so he goes on with Jonathan Karl, and he starts slamming Kamala as the border czar. And Jonathan Karl tries to push back and say she wasn't the border czar. The pathetic willingness of the media to act as lapdogs for the Harris campaign is just amazing stuff.
We have a wide open southern border because our border czar actually set a lot of open border policies. They suspended.
She's not actually. She wasn't the border czar.
Oh, that was what the media called her. She assumed the title. She had control over a lot of our border policy at a time when they were suspending. Let me finish, John. The time they were suspending deportations, they stopped Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, and they reinstituted catch and release. They basically threw open the gates of our country, and now we have a ton of fentanyl, a ton of people suffering.
But how are you going to get 10 to 15 to 20 million people out of the country? Well, the first
thing you have to do is to stop the bleeding, stop the open border, get Kamala Harris out of there, and actually re-implement the Remain in Mexico policy, rebuild or finish Donald Trump's border wall, and you do that and you stop the bleeding.
Okay. He is right about all of that, but look at Jonathan Karl going on defense. Look at him going on defense for Kamala. She wasn't the border czar. Okay, there's video of Jonathan Karl, like a year ago, talking about her control over border policy. They're willing to do anything for this chameleonic candidate. So let's just be clear about this. She apparently has nothing to do with border policy, and so she can adopt Trump's border policy. And it's not just that. Over the weekend, she goes to Nevada, and she says she's going to remove a tax on tips. Hey, that is a Donald Trump idea. He has trotted that out to great applause in places like Nevada, where there are a lot of employees who are reliant on tips. Now, we know she's lying because the reality is that when she was Attorney General of the state of California, one of the things that she and the rest of the Democrats in California tried to crack down on was independent contracting, like Uber, for example. And so they obviously wanted to tax tips because they wanted everybody paid as an employee so they could tax all that stuff. But here she is, literally just in real time, adopting Donald Trump's policies and answering zero questions about it. This is an amazing gaslighting. You thought the gaslighting about Joe Biden's health was bad. How about the gaslighting that Kamala Harris is now able to switch every single position she has ever held, all of them in real time, without any linkage to her record as vice president, senator, or AG of California. And the media go right along with it. It's outrageous. It really is.
And it is my promise to everyone here, when I am president, we will continue our fight for working families of America. Including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
That is a Donald Trump idea. Even the media were like, well, I mean, she did get that from Donald Trump. And that was kind of weird. But has she been asked about that? Of course not. She won't answer any questions. She literally said last week, maybe she'll schedule an interview before the end of the month. Schedule an interview before the end of the month. Can we just get clear on what the calendar looks like right now? Hey, right now, here's what the calendar looks like. We are at August 12th. 1 week from today, the Democratic National Convention begins. She will do 0 interviews this week. She will not sit for a serious interview. She won't answer a serious question. She'll get all the way to the convention without answering a single question. Then she will get into the convention. Night 1 will be a celebration of Joe Biden. They'll give him his gold watch and shuffle him off to the old age home where they put him on morphine until he dies. And then the rest of the convention will be about the glories of Kamala Harris and her complete lack of any policy or talent. But she is quite brat. And there are going to be celebrities, and it'll be amazing. Billie Eilish will show up with her green hair and all that. Taylor Swift might show up. Be a lot of celebs. It'll be so magical. And then we will be at August 22nd. And she still will have answered 0 questions. And then we'll be into the following week. And we'll be close to Labor Day already. And then post-Labor Day, the voting starts. The entire game here is to delay and lie to you. That's the entire game. Joe Biden is lying to you. He is not capable of holding the presidency. Kamala Harris is lying to you. She knows Joe Biden is not capable of holding the presidency. She's letting him do it while the world burns in order to shield her own political career. And she won't answer any questions about her own actual positions in any serious way. And the media will do it because there's nothing they like better than the taste of Kamala Harris's boots. They love it, apparently. It is their favorite thing. Here's Kamala Harris on the campaign trail saying she's going to lower costs. Do you know how insane you have to be to believe that Kamala Harris is going to lower costs? She is the vice president who presided over the worst inflationary cycle in 40 years. In 40 years. This is like me campaigning on telling you that I am going to magically make bacon taste better. I don't even know what it tastes like. The hell is she talking about?
We believe in a future where we lower the cost of living for America's families so they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. To get ahead. While our economy is doing well by many measures, Prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high.
Are they? I wonder how they got that way. Are you tired of the lies and the twist of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.